Welcome to Bloodbath and Beyond. Today we review Cheap Thrills.
Directed by E.L. Katz, Drafthouse Films brings us Cheap Thrills, a movie about a rich couple that tempts average Joes with money just to see how far they will go. What do we like about this movie?
I really thought that the acting was fantastic by everybody. I thought David Koechner played an awesome role as Colin, being the guy who kind of pits everybody against each other to do all of these dares for money.
We're used to him being a comedian, but seeing him in a more of a serious role, but still funny and awkward, it was nice. It was refreshing, and it worked.
I'm not gonna pay you to kill a helpless dog. Yeah, but what kind of sick birthday present would that be? It's your birthday, Vince.
Another fantastic actor in this movie was Pat Healy, who plays our main star, Craig Daniels, who's down on his luck. And they got through his backstory within the first 5 minutes of the film, so we really got into it.
Vince, who's played by Ethan Embry, who did a fantastic job as well. He's like the bookie, the druggie. He's this guy who you hate, and they establish him as this lower level than what Craig was. They had two different lifestyles, but ended up in the same place.
I like the makeup. He got bloodied up pretty early in the movie, and it was pretty consistent for a good hour of it, probably.
One of my big likes as well was the cinematography. There was one time when you have Vince on the right side of the screen and you have Craig on the left, and it would flip between the two. That was when they were kind of being a little more argumentative, and when they were kind of on the same page, it flipped to both of them being in the center. And so there's a lot of little cinematography tricks that they played throughout the film that were just fantastic.
I really enjoyed the pacing of this film. Going into it, I kind of knew what the premise was, and I thought there was going to be one jumping off point where it's okay, that's gone too far. This is where most people in real life would bow out. But they paced it perfectly where it was believable that all these challenges with these guys in the night and the situation they were in would probably partake.
Another fantastic part of this film was the sound effects and how intense and brutal and spot on they were.
What the fuck, man?
You really felt the intensity of every single sound effect. It was fucking great.
I really enjoyed Violet's character. She was played by Sara Paxton. She was very quiet and subtle with everything that she did. She drew suspicion to her when you're an audience member. What's going on here? When are we gonna have the curtain reveal here? Something is happening with Violet, and the way they played that off was really awesome.
And I think we can all agree the surprise ending was fantastic, and we're not going to spoil it because we want you guys to see it, but it has its twists and turns, and it's pretty cool.
Because of the nature of this film, we have to skip our favorite kills, but we're going to go right on to what we disliked about this movie.
I wanted this to be a more extreme version of Would You Rather, something we've reviewed in the past, and it was. But I don't think it went to the extreme I expected, though this was paced really well and it worked. Things escalated a little bit differently than I imagined.
The thing that mildly bothered me was a story issue. If you're a little girl and there's a stranger taking a dump on your kitchen floor and then just casually leaves, it's not even I'm expecting the cops to show up to Colin and Violet's place. They established that they got caught, but there was no repercussions from it.
Just on that vein, there's a few story problems where in real life I don't think those things would have gone down the way they did. There's one point where one of the main characters leaves the house after making a good amount of money, and he should have been gone, back to his wife, everything's all good, but instead he chose to come back to the house to make even more money.
He did prove a valid point though in saying what's going to happen next month because he didn't have a job.
And especially considering you knew that there was $250,000 there. If you walk out with $4,000, you're giving up $246,000 right now.
Perhaps it was a bad example, but there was a few examples in this movie where I don't think they would have gone down the way they would in real life. And now it's time for our final thoughts and ratings.
Having seen Would You Rather, it left me a little unfulfilled. And now seeing Cheap Thrills, I was fulfilled. It was what I wanted Would You Rather to be. It had a lot more graphic scenes. It had a lot more interesting situations that really questioned what I would do and for how much. I thought the cinematography, the acting, the sound effects, the lighting, everything was pretty spot on, and the pacing couldn't have been better. While there were a few small plot holes, I think this was a very, very solid film, and I recommend you see it. So I'm going to give this 4.5 Todd Farmers punching you in the face out of 5.
I have to agree with Jay on a lot of these stuff. The sound was good, the sets were good, the cinematography was good. I like seeing David Koechner in more of a black comedy role as opposed to just a comedy role. You know, we've seen him in Anchorman, we've seen him on The Office, but this was a little darker and serious, and he did it awesomely. I like these, you know, more realistic situations. This movie was, yeah, it was very realistic. I enjoyed it. So I'm gonna give this movie 4 fourth wheels out of 5.
I really enjoyed this film. I liked the realistic aspect of it. We had great character development and a really solid story, and I was curious to see how far each character would go. I really liked David Koechner in this. I thought he played a great antagonist, and I thoroughly enjoyed Ethan Embry as Vince. Like, he was the one who really got me into this movie. I just loved his character in this one, and I thought the development path was awesome. So that being said, I'm going to give this 4.5 conveniently placed pictures of David Koechner winning a martial arts tournament out of 5.
That's what we thought about the movie. If you've seen it, let us know in the comments below. Like this video if you liked our review, and sub to the channel to stay updated with our reviews and games of What Would You Do. If you have any movies to request, make sure you do so. This was actually a request from Slater Matunga. Hit us up at Bloodbath_TV on Twitter.